Hello everyone and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, the show where Tennille and I take a look at every single theatrically released animated film in chronological order. I'm Whitney.
I'm Tennille.
And content warning for this episode, we're talking about an adult film with lots of adulty things, so if you're a child, you probably shouldn't watch this one. Also, specific content warning for unwanted sexual encounters, multiple times, and suicide. So if you don't want to hear about that kind of stuff, maybe skip this episode as well, because this movie can be problematic.
And extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah! The movie in question is Natsu no Tobira, aka The Door into Summer. Given to us by Toei of Japan, but a lot of the animation was actually done by Madhouse.
Studio Madhouse.
Back again! Wow, I wish I liked it as much as their other movie we watched this year already.
I know, right? So, this is not a film for the faint of heart. And I wish I could judge it on art alone, because if I could, it would be a very highly recommended film. This has some great composition, some great, I wouldn't say character animation, but good, stylish animation. And, like, it's very unique in its styling. It's got something that I think, you know, will be pretty genre-defining. It's that, like, tall, pretty boy, French-esque inspired art style.
Sparkly eyes.
With the sparkly eyes and everything. And it's very different in that regard. And the backgrounds and the settings are all very beautiful. But the movie itself, I just can't really recommend, which is a shame because the art is so good.
Well, how about we get to a plot synopsis?
Yeah.
Marion?
Sure. I was never really quite sure how it's supposed to be said.
Some of these names are supposed to be pronounced.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Marion.
Okay.
Marion is the leader of a small group of, like, elite boys at an elite French school in the 1800s. And it's summer, and all the other kids go home, except for the elite students who have to stick around and stay elite or something.
They're part of the Rationalism Club.
Rationalism, of course.
Yeah.
So, along with Marion, there is Jakes, whatever. He's an arrogant little shithead. And then we have Lind. He is very quiet and analytical. And then there's Claude, who's the quiet one and also gay.
Yeah. Well,
like it's
unfortunately, this is not as exciting as you would hope it would be.
So the boys are in the rationality class or club, I guess. And that makes a lot of sense because they rationale about things like love and sex and how it's just a thing that you do because you need to. Because they're young boys and they're just starting to become in their formative years.
It's a very boy thing to talk about.
Like, they're not quite horny yet because, like, these kids are like, what, 13 at best?
Maybe.
It's uncomfortable hearing them talk about sex.
I mean, 13-year-old boys talk about sex.
Marion, in particular, does not like talking about sex. He's very uncomfortable with it, obviously.
You're missing the important first beat of this film, though, is that Marion gets a letter from his mom.
About her latest boyfriend.
Right, which is what kind of sets him up on this path of, like, why he is so invested in being rational and not caring about love and
pure-hearted,
right,
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He will not be lewd like his mother who sleeps with multiple men. Oh no! Anyways, there's a very pretty girl at the local
cafe or something
that they go to a lot. And he likes the girl, but she's just a plot device, and she technically likes him back or something. Or at least people think they like each other.
Yeah, I don't think he likes her. I don't think he's interested, from my reading of the film.
Well, he does things like break up fights of other boys who are fighting over her.
Yeah, but I see that less of a because he likes her and more of a because he's so rational, he needs to put these boys in their place and be an example of...
Okay.
Like, it's more of a boy showing, like, this is how you should be acting kind of thing.
This is how you be a man.
Right.
Type of thing.
And less of a, like, I'm trying to defend this poor girl.
Yeah.
Because I like her.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyways,
one of the boys that he breaks up the fight with doesn't like the fact that he's breaking up the fight, and so he challenges him to a duel where they both stand facing away from a train, and whoever jumps off the tracks first is the loser. So it's a dick-waving contest.
Boy.
God, I hate dick-waving contests. Anyways, Marion shows that he's super cool by jumping off at the literal last second, to the point where the train driver wasn't even sure if he hit the kid or not.
I was under the impression that he was hit.
No, he jumped off.
Okay.
If he was hit by a train, he would die. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Also, this train stops surprisingly quickly.
Yeah.
For being a train. Mm-hmm. So on the back of this train is an adult woman named Sarah. And she's like,
Sarah.
Thank you for stopping the train. And then she kisses Marion, who is very not okay with it.
Yeah, he's like, what? Their ages. They're like 12, 13, right?
Yeah,
Probably.
They are underage.
For sure.
Absolutely
For
underage.
Sure. And she is a grown-ass, adult, married woman.
She's not married.
She has somebody else that she has a significant other.
Oh, yeah. She is, like, it is discussed later that she is specifically she's around to sleep with an important guy who is also not married on the side. Mistress, that's the term. Yeah. She is specifically someone else's mistress. Uh-huh. But she kisses this small boy, and he's not okay with it. Marion then continues to show that he does not like women by that plot device girl wrote him a letter where she says she loves him or something like that. And he's like, don't dare write such lewd things to me, woman. And then he runs around in the rain and like gets pneumonia.
Oh.
Or doesn't get pneumonia because Sarah finds him collapsed in the rain, brings him into her house, strips him of all of his clothes, and forces herself upon him as he cries.
Yep, that happens in this movie.
After the deed is done, he's a man now, and he totally loves her and wants to do it many more times. And they do.
This.
Oh, yeah.
I hate this.
We'll get into it, but I just kind of want to force our way through the rest of the plot summary. Uh-huh. And then we can discuss how bad this is.
I mean, no, I'm not. Go ahead. I'm not even going to say anything right now.
So he is madly in love with this adult woman who forced herself upon him against his own will, and he's totally down with love now. Love is great. He loves love and sex, and will openly kiss this adult woman in public. His two friends, Jax and Lind, are like, well, cool, he's out of the way, so now we can fight over plot device girl. Mm-hmm. Also, the Count, who Sarah is the mistress to, comes in. He is Count Clooney, and one of his friend rats on Marion, and Count Clooney's like, and?
I don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm here now, and she's not seeing him now. I don't care if she saw him earlier.
He praises Sarah.
Oh, yeah. He absolutely praises Sarah for, like, good job.
Taking care of that boy.
Mm-hmm. Good job bonking that child. So, you remember how we said that Claude is gay? Mm-hmm. Marion finds Claude in the horse barn, and he has a knife, and he has taken many too many drugs, 'cause he is very sad that he is gay. And then
and in love with Marion.
And specifically in love with Marion. Mm-hmm. And then he forces himself upon Marion, who fights back. And then Claude jumps in the river and kills himself.
Yeah.
And then Marion laments the fact that, oh no, if only he knew the joys of sex, he wouldn't have killed himself. Oh.
He also says, like, that he wishes that he would have loved Claude back.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's
just not
good.
handled well at all. But I mean, it's also, the short
1800s.
story was written in 1975. The anime adaptation was, of course, made in 1981. It's a story that takes place in the 1800s. So, But still, it is not handled with any form of nuance.
No. Also, standing over Claude's body, Jakes and Lynn decide that they're going to have a duel over Plot Device Girl.
Yeah, they decide that now is the time to do this.
Uh-huh.
Right after their friend just committed suicide.
Mm-hmm. And so they have a duel, and Marion jumps in the middle to stop them and is shot.
Doesn't die, though.
Doesn't die. No, instead the movie ends with, pictures of each of them and, where they ended up.
Mm-hmm.
And all the boys ended up going their separate ways. All three of the living boys lived.
They're fine. They're surprisingly fine.
Mm-hmm. One went to a different school. Marion went home to his family. Jakes continued to go to the same school.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't end up with Plot Device Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is sad. The end.
They've lost their innocence. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, my biggest thing to talk about with this film, because I really don't want to get into the problematic stuff about this film, because I just don't think that this film has enough nuance to even really talk about it. So, the subject material is so uncomfortable, but it feels like it's just uncomfortable for uncomfortable's sake, because it's so poorly developed that it just feels like melodrama that wants to show the suffering of these children and make you uncomfortable, rather than really saying a whole lot about the loss of innocence.
Mm-hmm.
It's just here are these tweenagers, we're gonna torture them, and then we're gonna be like, oh, isn't it so sad their innocence was lost at the end?
These poor prepubescent boys.
Right, and then, that's just kind of it. I want to say that I hope that the manga was at least a little bit better in establishing these boys' friendship and, establishing this kind of melodrama, because this film is only about an hour long, and it just does not have the time to make you really feel for these characters before the pain train just starts hitting them. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about just the literal train.
Ha.
Ha. Jokes.
I wouldn't hold my breath too much. I have a feeling it's about the same.
Probably. But, yeah. I mean, one positive thing I can say about this, I guess, is, again, the art. And this was an early example of shonenai, or boy love manga. So,
Wow, this is the worst possible version of that.
I
where
know.
Only one of the characters is gay, and they're very sad about being gay and kill themselves.
Yeah.
After trying to force themselves upon another person.
Yeah.
That is really bad representation.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
It could only be worse is if they were seen as a villain.
Yeah, he's
But
luckily
they're
not a
not.
villain. He's still pretty sympathetic,
Mm-hmm.
all things considered. And, I don't want to get anyone's hopes up if you go into this being oh, well, there's a gay character. Obviously, we've already talked about how, problematic the content is. But also, that is not a focus of this film. I want to, really emphasize that is not the main focus at all. It is just kind of a thing that happens about
It's
3/4 into the film.
Yeah, it's the B plot that you don't realize is coming until it happens.
I mean, you kind of...
You get
there's some
tiny hints of him
breadcrumbs.
pining for Marion.
Right.
But, like, that's it.
A lot of the screen time is instead focused on the uncomfortable relationship between Marion and Sarah.
And how they bounced boobily down the titted stairs.
Yep. Yeah.
Lots of nudity. Lots of still frames of a prepubescent boy holding an adult woman.
Yeah.
And, yeah, not showing any of that because, yeah, obviously not.
Uh-huh. It was uncomfortable watching it. I don't want to force, like, anyone else to see it unless they want to check this out themselves. And, like, I can't recommend it, but if you're interested in seeing, like, where the history of Shonenai began, if you're interested in seeing the history of Madhouse Studios animation, I could see somebody wanting to check this out. It's edgy. I didn't like it, but, you know, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I just want representations of sexual encounters where all parties are into it. Please?
Well, and not severely underaged.
Yeah, that would help too.
Just not underaged. That would be great.
But we've had not underage characters who are severely not into it.
Mm-hmm.
I just want consensual sex, okay?
That would be nice. Yeah, that would be nice.
Like, that's the bar I'm going for first.
just, you know, if at least it was consensual, that'd be nice.
Adults is immediately after that, but at least can we have consensual?
The lowest of low bars.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This was directed by Mori Masaki. And the manga was written by the same author who did Terra, or the Terra.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really all I've got to say.
I just don't know if I can recommend this one.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't recommend it. For the casual viewer, I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Join us back here next time, as we are still in Japan, and we are going to be watching Chie the Brat. I don't know what this one is. I assume it's another comedy based around an annoying child.
Oh boy.
But I don't know for sure.
Oh boy. See you then.